Is it a Chinese poem that welcome to the Chinese Mid-Autumn Festival, and it is my honor this afternoon to share the mooncake production process. Let me introduce myself. His name is Liu Yongzhi. He's from Guangxi, Nanning of China. He's from Guangxi Vocational and Technical College. This afternoon's meeting will be about 3 hours. The first part will be the theoretical introduction, and this part will encompass about 40 minutes, and then there will be the practice part. At first, let me give you some introduction about the theory. The Mid-Autumn Festival is a festival which happened in 15th August of the Chinese calendar. And it is tradition of China to make mooncakes in this festival. The production of mooncake festivals may vary according to its content and materials. Let us see the menu. We can see that there is the basic production process of the mooncakes, the production of crisp skin and syrup skin, and I will give you the introduction one by one. Let me introduce its characteristics and classification of the mooncakes. In terms of taste, they are sweet, such as the chocolate mooncakes or the Cantonese style mooncakes. They are sweet. They have savory, or we can say salty mooncakes, such as the Jiangsu style mooncakes. And some is spicy or salty sweet. In terms of filling, they are mooncakes with 5 canals, bean paste, rock sugar, sesame, and ham filling. And in terms of its crust, we have syrup skin mooncake, sugar oil skin mooncake. The sugar oil skin mooncakes is mostly seen in Cantonese style, and the crisp skin mooncakes is mostly seen in Jiangsu style mooncake. And in terms of its appearance, we have the smooth surface and fluffy texture. And according to its origin, we have Beijing, Tianjin, Guangdong, Jiangsu, and Chaozhou style mooncakes. Different mooncakes have different characteristics, such as the crispy mooncakes. It's a kind of mooncake which is very sophisticated. It requires many of the procedures. It takes about an hour to do the first steps. This kind of mooncakes is well layered, and its crust is very thin, and it could just melt when it comes into your mouth. It is very tasty. You can also feel the moist in their mouth. And about the syrup crust mooncakes are plump and oily. The proportion of crust and filling is 4 to 6. This is a fixed ratio. If we do by that ratio, we could effectively preserve the water-soluble and oil-soluble substance in both the crust and the filling to make the texture dense, soft, and tender. And we talk about the oil and sugar crust mooncakes. It takes about 3 to 5 days to make the crust get hardened. Why is it? Because we apply inverting syrup while making the crust. That is why it takes so long for the crust to get hardened. So for the Cantonese style mooncakes, we cannot eat. There's no way to consume the fresh mooncakes. They have to be left and they remain for a couple of days before we consume and enjoy it. And about the sugar oil skin mooncakes, they're also fluffy in texture and unbreakable and easy for carriage. Let's look at the slides to see the characteristics. The Beijing and Tianjin mooncakes are renowned for their vegetarian nature. Both the crust and the filling are vegetarian, and they are prepared in a manner similar to savory pancakes, resulting in a crisp and delightful outer layer. And the Cantonese style mooncakes, on the other hand, are lighter on oil and emphasize sweetness. And Jiangsu style mooncakes feature a rich and intense flavor profile. I'm not going to tell you all. I'm not going to talk about all the details on the slides. I will just pick up important points. There are many new flavors of mooncakes in the years, such as the chocolate filling mooncakes or the snow skin mooncakes. One of these mooncakes are characterized by non-baked frozen crust, which are enjoyed cold. And this kind of mooncakes is enjoyed abroad and overseas. So it is safe to say that this kind of mooncakes just meet the trends, both domestically and from abroad. And they have fancy appearance. And for the fruit and vegetable mooncakes, the key features of these mooncakes is their filling, which primarily consists of fruit and vegetables. Ingredients like cantaloupe, pineapple, lychee, strawberries, wintermelon, taro, Chinese plum, orange, and yeast. We also have seafood mooncakes, such as the ingredients like abalone and seaweed.
Now let's introduce the basic mooncake production process. You can see from the slides, no matter what kind of mooncakes it is made according similar process. First of all, you have to deal with the ingredients, pre-processing it. For example, screen the ingredients to remove the impurities. so that they will be more fresh. Then weighing the ingredients. Because we have to use molds to make mooncake, so ingredients need to be weighed. Accurate weighing is essential to make good appearance. Then is filling preparation and crust preparation. For example, 5 nuts mooncakes. It used different kinds of nuts to make these kinds of mooncakes, so filling preparation is important. For crust preparation, some kind of mooncakes, like zero crust mooncakes, they need to deal well with the crust and dough. Then in the process of filling wrapping, it uses molds to shape mooncakes. During the practical process today, we will make mooncakes by hands. But usually in factories, these processes will be done by machines. After shaping, it is baking process. In terms of the color of baked mooncakes, Cantonese mooncakes needed to be colored. The crust, after being baked, will look gold. During the baking process, we need to brush egg wash on the crust. At first, we baked for 5 minutes, then we cooled down and brush egg wash on the surface. Then they would be placed into the oven for another bake. While coming out of the oven, the temperature is very high, around 200 degrees. So the mooncakes need to be cooled down completely before brushing the egg wash. Now let's introduce how to make skins of the mooncakes. No matter what kind of mooncakes it is, let's make a look at the syrup preparation, as well as the dough preparation. We have to prepare the syrup 3 months before you make the dough, because we need to use the inverting syrup. It costs a long time. Now we have syrup production factories, as well as the specialized dough to make mooncakes. We can buy all these materials from factories beforehand. Next, it's filling preparation. There are different kinds of ingredients, include soft filler, filling and ferment filling. For ferment filling, we have 5 nuts and ham filling, etc. In filling is made from various ingredients through meticulous processing. Nowadays, we don't have to make filling by ourselves because there are factories and industries that make filling. They produce filling. So what we need to do is to buy the filling we like. You can take a look at the slides. First, we put powdered sugar, oil, and various additives into the powder mixer. Then add peanut oil, mix them thoroughly. Then we can get a filling. Then next step, filling, wrapping, and shaping. Now we have mature machines lead to high productivity of mooncakes. You can find the design and patterns that you need and you liked to buy the special molds. After wrapping, we come to shaping process. When wrapping the filling, it is important to know that seal the edge at the bottom of the mooncakes so that the mooncakes will look beautiful. The fourth step is baking. After the mooncake being arranged on the trays, the tray's specification is 40, 60. We have to control the baking time. This is very important. We have to turn on the baking machine before we put the mooncakes into the oven. We have to turn on the oven before we bake the mooncakes. After the temperature is appropriate, then can we place the mooncakes blanks into the oven for baking. Because the temperature is very high, around 200 degrees. Before they are placed into the oven, you should sprinkle some water on the mooncake blanks to prevent cracking or exposing the filling. And it is important to note that the mooncake crust may be unexpanded. So this is baking step. Fifth, cooling. After baking the mooncakes, they come out of the oven at a very high temperature, so they need to be cooled completely. they cannot be touched directly by hands when they just come out of the oven. In factories of China, they will pre-made the mooncakes 3 months beforehand. If you touch it with your hands, it will create conditions that conducive to microbial growth. The mooncakes have to be cooled down at daily temperature around 30 degrees before being stored and packaged. If the temperature is too high, it will develop steam. Such a conditions is conducive to microbial growth. This will lead to spoilage. So cooling is very important before stored and packaged.
And the next step is section 3, that is the production. That is, we'll further elaborate the detail of each mooncakes, that is the crisp skin mooncakes. It has 3 subset categories: the puff pastry mooncake, syrup pastry, flat skim crust mooncakes, and the water and short pastry crust mooncakes. I'm not going to elaborate on it. Let's just jump to the production process of the crisp crust mooncakes. And the production process is relatively just the same, but there's one difference. That is about the production of its crust. It requires to apply oil onto the surface of the crust. It requires about 1 hour or 1 hour and a half to do the crisp distribution. You can take a screenshot. That is the techniques of making crisp skin mooncakes. I'm not going to elaborate on the production method. We're now jumping to the preparation of the oil mixed dough. I'm not going to elaborate on this as well. Like the preparation of the crust, there's one point I'd like to emphasize. If we just do the crisp distribution manually, it is time consuming. We now have specialized machine for big factories. The product it has a detailed texture and fluffy texture. The products is much better. There are two major categories of crispy distribution. About the main difference is how much layer it created. For the large crisp distribution, it is much more layers, and and about the filling preparation, it is just the same as the Cantonese style. I'm not going to elaborate on it. What I'm going to elaborate here is the Cantonese style mooncakes in the later. They're just the same as I have said before.
Let's focus on the process of producing syrup crust mooncake, which is one of the symbol of Cantonese mooncakes. In these sections, we will introduce how to make such kind of mooncake. In terms of the ingredients, I didn't put the details here. We have to use low gluten flour to make the crust. We use high gluten flour to make bread or other desserts. In terms of making mooncakes, we have to use low gluten flour. In terms of the flour, they need to be screened. And riddling. Please choose fresh flour. You can feel by your hand if they feels fine and smooth. That means the flour is fresh. If they feels a little bit hard, that means they may be wet and inappropriate to use them to make dessert. And from the appearance, if they look white and smell fresh, that means it is a fresh flour. So please choose fresh flour to make mooncakes. First of all, you need to riddle the flour so they can be more fine and smooth. Then it's about filling preparation and crust preparation. When prepare syrup and oil, they need to be weighed. They smell good. Most of the factories use soybean oil, and they cost not much. Then in terms of alkaline water, you can place them on the table and then stir it thoroughly. Syrup, oil, and alkaline water, they cannot dissolve with each other, so we just emulsify them into emulsion. In terms of alkaline water, it is made from water adding mini soda, such as sodium carbonate. Syrup. Syrup is acidity, while alkaline water is alkaline nature. So they can be neutralized to make the crust of mooncakes more easy to be colored. In a high temperature environment, The alkaline water will be dissolved into CO2. If you cut the mooncake, you will see many small holes in the mooncakes. So the alkaline water is just as the same role as a starter agent, swelling agent. During the practical process, I will share with you other experiences and more details. After this course, I will send you the slides and you will see more details of the recipe. Today, we will use 500 grams of flour, 600 of syrup, 65 grams of oil, 5 grams of alkaline to make mooncakes. We have introduced the production procedures beforehand. So when you deal with the ingredients, it is necessary to screen them to remove impurities. Fruit ingredients should be additionally checked by magnetic detector. This is crust preparation. And I have introduced just now. Pour the flour onto the workbench, forming a circle, add sugar, syrup, alkaline water, and oil. Stir them well. Then mix them to create a dough with a suitable texture. Do not knead them too firmly, or it will contain high gluten. That is not good for making mooncakes. After making a suitable dough, let it rest for 20 to 30 minutes. Don't use the dough immediately as soon as you form a dough. They need to be rested for a while before you use it, so that it's more easy for them to getting out of the molds afterwards. I will show you how to perform this step later. We will press the dough until it becomes flat. And slowly wrap the filling. Next is its filling preparation. Firmer filling includes barbecue pork, candied melon, etc. These ingredients need to be finely chopped before use. And they need to be cooked. You can add oil, water in it and mix them up. The procedure is kind of similar. For preparing a softer filling, you need to pre-cook the ingredients and mix them thoroughly. Firmer filling and softer filling have high content of oil because this is good for storage. Oil can help prevent spoilage, create an environment that is not good for microbial growth. The fourth step is filling wrapping. Place the filling on the skin. Then pinch and stretch the skin while turning it, continuously extending it until it wraps around the filling. Then sew the edge. Please be sure that the sealing side is facing up. The fifth step is shaping. Later, we will use handmade molds. We usually use wooden molds, but that is not easy to make the mooncake out of the molds. Now we usually don't use wooden molds, but plastic ones. Because such kind of molds is easily to use. You can make the mooncakes out of the molds easily using such kind of molds. The sixth step is brush the mooncakes with egg wash. This step, you have to perform this step before perform this step after you completely cooling down the mooncakes. So that the mooncakes' shine will be enhanced. When you brush the egg wash, please be gentle and even. Be care of the raised patterns. Avoid applying too much to raised patterns to prevent obscuring the design. If you use a hairbrush to brush the egg wash, please repeat this step for several times. The seventh step is baking. Different oven should be set at different temperatures. We have different kinds of ovens. Today, the oven we used should be turned on. Preheated before we use it. The upper heat should be set at 220 to 230 degrees, while the lower heats at around 180 degrees. The temperature is actually depend on the oven you used. Different ovens should be set at different temperatures. Today we will set 220 degrees or 170 degrees. We need to adjust the temperature based on the type of oven you used. After being baked, the mooncakes need to be packaged. Now in China, mooncakes are commonly individually packaged. We will place deoxidant agents in our package so that the mooncakes can keep fresh for a while.
And as to the oil and sugar crust mooncakes, it is very similar to the previous ones, so I'm not going to just skip this part. I'll skip this part. It's just the same as before. Just look at the slice. And by the way, there are other mooncakes, such as the cream skin mooncakes, is made of wheat flour, cream, sugar, and other fats. And the following procedures is just the same. Shaved, baked, creamy white skins. And the egg and egg crust mooncakes are made primarily from wheat flour, sugar, eggs, and just the same. The only difference is their flavors. And for chocolate mooncakes, the crust is made entirely of chocolate. We have to first melt the chocolate, whether it is black chocolate or white chocolate, just the same. After the melting, we have to be careful because during the melting process, we'd better just keep it either just heating the water bath. And have the container sealed. If you just put the chocolate in a pot, it just stick to the pots and gets easily scalded and burned. That is one point we have to be careful. For the chocolate mooncakes, as we know, its crust is made of chocolate, and we need to just fill this filling and put it in the bowls. Then we get the chocolate mooncakes. And as to the snow skin mooncakes, its crust was prepared in the factory and purchased. So we don't need to prepare it in advance. We just need to use the hot, just put the boiled water into the prepared flour. Then we could do the wrapping process. And during the entire process of the wrapping process, we have to put our gloves on because unlike other mooncakes, snow skin mooncakes can be directly consumed right after the production. Snow skin mooncakes have to be consumed within 2 days, and unlike other mooncakes, which need to be consumed after a week. And then I'm going to introduce the main equipment for mooncake production. Take a look at this. This is a forming machine. This is just only one machine of the entire process. Just one machine from the entire production line. Like in many big factories, they have each individual process and steps has its unique machine from the production line. And this machine is just only one step from the production line. But I'm not going to use this machine today because we just only make a few mooncakes, not mass production. And this machine is used in factories, so we don't need to use it today. And this is another kind of forming machine. It has the bell to transport the products. We also have an ultra red scanning sensor. And after this process, it is sent for plate garnishing. And the picture on the last slice and this is the wrapping machine, also known as encrusting machine. This is where we put the raw materials and the ingredients into the hopper. After we put all the ingredients into the hopper, we could just set the basic standard in there. Then the products will be automatically be conveyed into the production hopper. And that is the theoretical introduction of the theoretical production of the mooncakes. Let us just have a 10 minutes break. Then we'll go to the direct site to do the product practice. Hi everyone. Let's begin the operation. The production of Cantonese-style mooncakes. At first, we should clean the workbench. After we have weighed the ingredient, let's introduce the ingredient. The first is the low gluten elastic flour, and this is the peanut oil, and this is the syrup from corn, and this is the alkaline water. This is egg, which I'm going to for the coloration. This is a brush, and this is the stirring machine. And this mode is operated manually. That is to get the content off manually by hand. But first, I'll show you the production of the crust. First, we'll do the sieving of the flour. Just sieve the finished products into the operation table directly. Let me put on a glove. Look at the flour. The flour has been reserved for about 1 week, and it will form some slots and cracks. So we have to do the sieving. I'm doing the sieving to avoid the clumping effect. Let us first in the ratio. We need to preserve 5 grams of flour specialized for mooncakes, and about the oil, that is 65 grams. Syrup, 163 grams, and alkaline water, 5 grams.
After being After being screened, we can remove many impurities. And now we use a plastic to form them into a circle.
Round circle can be large. We need to first mix the syrup, the alkaline water, and the oil before we mix them with the flour. Mix them thoroughly. That is, layers cannot be perceived in cannot be perceived. Mm. I'm going to continue to rub it for about 1 to 2 minutes. And that's it. Then I'm going to use the plastic rubber to mix them with the flour. Mix the liquid with the flour.
I add a little more flour here, so I need to use more oil. Add a little more. As well as the alkaline water and syrup.
takes it takes longer time to rub and mix it manually, but if we are doing it with machine, it will take less time. And after the mixing, we need to just leave it for 30 minutes. We need to seal the dough with plastic wrap.
Let it rest for half an hour.
Since we have to rest it for about half an hour, it takes a long time, so I just give you the finished products. I finished the crust in the morning, so I'll just continue. So after about 5 minutes, I'll just continue with the products that I made, with the crust that I made this morning to save time. And by the way, the crust is made of other materials is made of other materials.
In order to save your time, I will use the dough I prepared this morning to make the mooncakes. This is lotus seed paste. First of all, let's weigh the dough to make the pastry crust. 3 5 grams of each portion. We need 90 grams of filling and 35 grams of the dough for one mooncake. Now shape them into cylindrical form. And divide them into small portions. Make sure every portion is around 35 grams. Every portion should be weighed. The weight is essential to ensure the quality. After weighing, you should shape every portion it's round. Takes time when you do this manually. Now let's divide the filling. If the dough cannot be ran out of, then place them into the plastic bag immediately to keep it fresh, or it will become very dried. The filling also need to be placed in the plastic bag if you don't use it. And knead the filling also into cylindrical shape. "90 grams of every portion for the filling."
Chọn cái ball lên tôi. And the lotus filling is soft, so while wrapping, it is hard to be wrapped than the hard filling. And likewise, the fillings should first be rubbed into the sphere shape. Since we have weighed the filling and the filling was shaped, first pressed the crust into a plate and put it into the palm and put the filling on the crust. When you first squeeze it, pinch and squeeze the skin and turning it, continuously extending it until it wraps around the filling. It also takes some time. Place the filling on the pastry skin, then pinch and stretch the skin. The narrower of the narrower of the mouth, the more you're turning it. Setting the edge slowly. After the edge was sealed, you could see that the edge was on the top. And at the side with no edge shall be put at the bottom side. The mold was not oiled, so I have no idea if they are sticky or not. So give me some minutes. I'll just oil the molds, apply a thin oil of peanut oils on it. First, apply a thin layer of peanut oil to the mold cavity. Rub it and spread it. Then I'm going to put the mooncake into the molds. The smooth side shall be at the bottom. Then press it. The ceiling side shall be up and the other side at the bottom. Pressing it down with hands. Use your palm to hold the products or tapping the molds. And that is the finished product. You need to be careful to put it on the tray, not to break the mooncake. I'm not going to finish all of this. Just do some demonstrations to avoid wasting too much time. The roasting time will take about half an hour, and during that time, we'll do the Q&A.
As for the egg lotus seed paste, you need to add an egg yolk among the lotus seed paste. We usually use dark egg. First, you need to marinate the yolk by alcohol to make sure that it can keep fresh for long. But for this course, we will just make 15 mooncakes of lotus seed paste. Usually, we also have big mooncake. The whole procedure will be more complicated. This is the mold we are using now. For 500 grams of mooncakes, I have only one for 5 grams of mooncakes. 500 grams. When we're wrapping this, it is easy to exposing the filling, so be careful. The normal ratio is 1 to 4. One dough skin and 4 filling. Now we use 35 grams of skin and 120 grams of filling. If the filling is too much, it will be greasy when we taste it. So today I have reduced the weight of the filling. When the mooncakes is coming out of the mold, be careful. Don't use too large. Don't press it too firm. Be careful. Or you will damage the appearance of the mooncakes. When baking the mooncakes, it may exhibit shrinkage.
While making the mooncakes, there is often this phenomenon that the upper hand would be smaller, and that is decided by the amount of alkaline water. And let's just see, well, after the roasting, if the upper hand was indeed smaller or not. The mooncakes was characterized was kind of mooncakes of Yongzhi Vocational Technical College. And I also added some tea powders into the alkaline tea because we also have tea schools in the JVTC. And in our college, all of the desserts and dim sums are merged with tea cultures and the elements of tea. No, I'll just make a demonstration of 6 mooncakes. I'm not going to finish all of the products because it's wasted too much time. In China, mooncake is the symbol of Chinese traditional festival and was made in mid-autumn festival. So so the production of mooncakes is relied on the period and time and the festivals. It will take about 1 to 2 months for the production of mooncakes. And we also have another kind of pastry derived from mooncake that is called the egg yogurt pastry. It is a kind of dessert of Jiangsu style mooncakes. In the past, we have some large production of mooncakes, so we just make some derivatives from it. And the egg yogurt pastry was also very popular in China. So in a strict sense, egg yogurt pastry is just one kind of mooncakes. For egg yogurt pastry, the best brands was the brand of Xuanma. I made 6 mooncakes, and now I'm and now I do the following procedures, that is roasting and baking. When the shape was formed, by its appearance, is a little bit translucent and glazing. First, we'll do some preheating. The oven was preheated. The fire heat should be set at 220 Celsius for the top heat source. And for the bottom heat source, the temperature should be set at 200 temperature. What the reason why I set the bottom heat source a little bit higher, because it is an old oven used for several years, so I have to set it for a little bit higher, set the temperature a little bit higher. I'll just collect the remains of the materials. And about the concoction of egg wash,
We have to separate the egg white and egg yolk because we have to avoid the effect that made by the egg white. Or it will look white on the crust. Now I will mix the egg. How to select a good egg? Because we need to separate the egg whites and egg yolk, so it's important to choose fresh egg. Fresh eggs are easily to be separated. How to select a fresh egg? You can touch it. If it feels smooth, that the egg is a little bit old. A fresh egg will be not that smooth. It feels a little bit tough. Second, you can whisk the egg a little bit. If you can hear the sound of the liquid, that means the egg yolk and egg white have been mixed up inside the eggshell. A fresh egg will sink at the bottom of water. However, aged egg will float on the surface of water. You can use these three methods to judge whether an egg is fresh. You can also use light. If it were a fresh egg, the lights can go through the egg. Now, I will separate the egg white and egg yolk. What we need is egg yolk.
If the temperature is hot, then we have to preserve the eggs into the refrigerators before separating the yolk and the egg white. In large factories, they have specialized equipment and a machine to separate the yolk and the white. I'm just going to use 2 eggs, and we only need the yolk part, not the white part. In the production process, you can see that the yolk has a gel-like line. During the production, we need to get this line off to make the taste, to make the flavor better. Then we'll mix the yolks. Evenly mix them, but keep in mind we should not mix it for too long, because bubbles will be created, and if it has bubbles, then while it was spread onto the crust, then the appearance would be ugly. The brush is made of wool, because the brush was soft. We dip the brush into the yolk, then we'd have a lot of yolks on the brush. And to brush it off to avoid excessive application. The oven has been preheated and meet our standard. The top heat 220 and the bottom heat 200. You can see that it is glazed. The surface of the mooncake is glazing. At first, we need to put these mooncakes directly into the oven without brushing our eggs on for about 5 minutes. And it is not until it turns into yellowish white before we are going to brush the egg wash on. Let us put it into the oven for 5 minutes. I'll first give an introduction of the oven about the method of usage. The oven was driven by ultra-red light, and it has 3 layers. For each layers, it can restore 2 trays of mooncakes. For each layer, it has the same structure. The upper part controls the upper heat, and the bottom button controls the bottom heat. The rotary knob controls the temperature. You can see the figure, but the figure only indicates the current temperature. So when I'm talking about the temperature, what I'm saying is the temperature of the knob. When the indicator light just got red, it means that the temperature in the oven has reached our desired temperature. You can see that of the second layer, the number 36 means that the current temperature in the oven is only 36 degrees. While the light green was on, it means that the temperature is rising. When the temperature has reached our desired temperature, then the light would turn red. This oven has large power, about 20 kilowatts. There is a temperature detector and sensor in the. There is a metal heat detector in the oven. Mm. And also, the oven is high in temperature. So everything of the oven is extremely hot except for the handle. So we must be careful not to get our hand scalded while using the oven. While opening the oven, and this is the right gesture of opening the oven. If you open the oven with that gesture, then you may just easily get your hand scalded. That is one point we need to be careful of. And aside from this, the oven door would get easily bounced back. So you need to pull harder. And when you want to push it back, you cannot push it too hard because the oven bag would just bounce it back. That is another point to be cautioned. Another thing is that while you are checking your production in the oven, you cannot open the oven door too large. because if you just open the oven door too large, then the temperature would drop quickly. And the final products won't be as great as desired. And by the way, put your gloves on because it is hot in the oven. And now we're going to have our first application of the egg wash.
Now you can see they have a little bit yellow on the surface. Now, allow them to be cooled to the indoor temperature. Now I will use the air conditioner to help them cooling down. This is the first baking. Don't bake them too much. Don't overbake them. Or the appearance will not as well as we baked after brushing the egg wash. Now the pattern of our mooncakes is designed by our school. Now we can brush the egg wash. I have stressed that. Don't use too much the egg wash. Now the egg wash is too much and we can remove the excessive egg wash in the bowl. Apply more times with little amounts of egg wash. Be gentle when performing this step. Very gentle and even. Basically, you need to bake them for 5 minutes before the first brushing. But it depends on the actual situation. If the oven have large power, then maybe you should bake for a shorter time. However, when it comes to the aged oven, maybe you should bake for a little bit longer. And brush the mooncakes from different directions gently. After the first brushing, now we place them into the oven again. Baking for another 3 to 5 minutes. Then brush for the second time.
And we will now have the Q&A section soon. And please feel free to ask questions. And now I have baked the mooncake for 3 minutes, and now I'm going to have the second brush. The reason why I just kept a little bit time shorter because we need to just observe the color of the mooncakes rather than just stick to the arrangement of time. We will have second brush to make its color much more pretty. Mm. We'll first have it cool down before we do the brushing. As the mooncake production, our school has started uh, the, since 2003. We teach students to make mooncakes, mooncakes. We've started from 2003 and ended in 2019, and now we didn't make mooncakes since 2019 because we have other majors in the courses, and this side has been left unoccupied for a long time. At that time, we just used the wooden molds. It takes much longer time to make a mooncake, and later we purchased air-driven molds and increased the proficiency. And now the mooncake production was merged with tea cultures of GVTC. In 2019, we got national support from the government. Mm. And this mooncake is also one of the products acknowledged by the source tank. But now the temperature of the mooncake reached reached the temperature of indoor temperature. The principle of brushing yolk is brush only a little yolk frequent for multiple times. And after the brushing and coloration, we'll do the final baking. The final baking will take 8 minutes. And during the baking, we have to switch another oven. The reason is that the temperature in the oven and in different part of the oven is different. We need to switch it to make it evenly baked. Hi everyone. The mooncake is under the baking process. So now we are having the Q&A process. And as for the question posed first, what do you have the mooncake in the shape of the rabbit? You can see that we have molds of different shapes. I just pick only 2 or 3 from different varieties of molds, and we can change the pattern of the molds. Like the one that I'm holding is in the shape of heart, and some is in the flower. When I just and the pattern could also be customized. So if you want mooncakes in the shape of rabbit, you could easily get one. And by the way, in Chinese culture, rabbits is also the symbol of Mid-Autumn Festival because according to the tale, when the lady of Chang'e fly to the moon and become a rabbit. And you can see that on the screen there are mooncakes in various kinds of shapes. You can see that they have many shapes. But the most common mooncakes is the round shape. like the snow skin, like the snow skin, like the snow skin mooncakes have many shapes, as much more shapes. Chocolate and snow skin mooncakes because they are much more popular among the young people, so they have more shape, more designs and shapes. As to the second question about the filling in China, the most popular filling are categorized according to the age of the customers. The aged people would prefer the filling of 5 canal. The canal just have the 5 canal mainly denotes some denotes the almond and the peanuts. And we also have the candied sugar mooncakes. We'll first fry the 5 canals and add peanut oil and seasoning. That is how the filling was made. And for young people, fruit fillings was much more liked and welcomed. I was making mooncakes for 16 years. For every time I distribute our products, the fillings of 5 canals was mainly shared by families, but the fillings of vegetables and fruits was much more liked by the youngsters. And for children, snow skin chocolate and chocolate mooncakes was much more welcomed. And this kind of mooncakes was just invented recent years. Like in the year before last year, snow skin mooncakes has gone viral in China. And many families would just purchase the raw materials of snow skin mooncakes online to make mooncakes themselves. This is largely because of the pandemic. And I was also asked by many of my friends how to make snow skin mooncakes because they want to make them for their children. And last year and the year before last year, oh, let's wait a minute. I think that our mooncake has finished. No, I think that it still need to take some more time. It would take about a minute or two. And let's go back to the snow skin mooncake. And last year, I also we make mooncakes for children, for children of primary schools. We also teach them on site the way to make mooncakes. Because snow skin mooncakes do not require baking, so it is much more safe for children to operate. The children are making the mooncakes while eating them. They are much more welcomed. And the chocolate skin mooncakes was also welcome and liked by youngsters and children. That is all for this question. And as to the third question, why the mooncake that I made is hard? Because it takes time for the inverting syrup to get reaction. And you can see that the mooncake that I make was hard because it is the characteristic of Cantonese style mooncakes. However, for other kind of mooncakes, such as the Jiangsu style mooncake, the snow skin mooncakes, or chocolate skin mooncakes, they are soft. They have soft skins. So that is the typical case of Cantonese style mooncakes. And we also need to purchase syrup specialized for making mooncakes. And also, we could make syrup from white sugar, from white granulated sugar. We boil the white granulated sugar. And the reason, one point we have to keep in mind is that the concentration of sugar have to reach 85%, 85%, and then we should add citric acid. So I believe that the reason why your mooncake is so hard is that the concentration of the sugar did not reach the standard, that is 85%. So I recommend you to buy the specialized syrup for mooncakes. It takes about 3 days for soft fillings of fermentation and 5 days for hard fillings for fermentation.
For the question, can we use anything other than egg yolks to color the mooncakes? You can, in fact, many of the pigments for food is extracted from the egg yolks. It is just that egg yolk is natural. It is a natural pigment for food. Some pigment is extracted from flowers like chrysanthemum. However, the effect is not as good as the egg yolks. So it is better to use egg yolk. For the question, what is the substitute of alkaline water? the main content of alkaline water is sodium bicarbonate. You can also use dicarbonate. In making the Chinese mantou, we also use dicarbonate. So alkaline water is like a specialized swelling agent for making mooncake. For the question, how long can you keep mooncake at room temperature? Like today, we didn't put corrosion remover, antiseptic substance into our mooncakes, so it can not be storage for very long. It's if the temperature is relatively high, it can only store it for 3 or 5 days. But if you put it into a refrigerator, it can be stored for around 1 month. If the mooncake is being packaged with a desoxidant, without antiseptic substance, it can be stored for a while, but not too long. Now, most of the factories in China takes 3 months to produce mooncakes. Many mooncakes are also made by our vocational school. Some of the sweet store will also produce mooncakes, such as Sweet City in Nanning. Such mooncakes can be stored for 3 months, usually.
And as the question about low sugar mooncakes, the most important part is the crust. You just only need the filling with low sugars. However, when it comes to the crust, the syrup can be made from starches, but not from corn or the inverting syrup to avoid high sugars. We can also use high fructose corn syrup. The sugarless mooncakes usually use high fructose corn syrup or starch syrup instead of inverting syrup. So that could reduce the amount of sugar of crust. And that is all for this question. And that is all for the baking process and the brushing process. However, the pattern on the mooncakes may not be too fancy or pretty because the logo was separated from the rim. You can see that if the pattern is much more complicated, then it would be much more beautiful after the baking process. As you can see from the boats, most of the pattern was too flat. And the other pattern, as you can see, they're much more complicated and have more lines. So if I just brush more eggs or egg yolk on it, then it could just get easily burned. And you can see that there are some other lines and parts protruding from the mooncakes, and they got starched and got scalded. And this did not usually happen. You can see that you can't see too much glazing on it now, because you have to leave it for about 3 days. Then you can see some beautiful glazing on the mooncakes. We cannot touch directly with our hands because they have to be left for some time. You need to put your gloves on. And the mooncake was hard by touch. The color of the bottom was beautiful. The upper part and the bottom part was just the same. They have the same diameter. Normally, the upper part would be smaller than the bottom part. The reason for this phenomena is the ratio of the alkaline lines. If the proportion of the alkaline water is a little bit less, then the upper part won't be too small. We cannot put too much alkaline water into the crust because it would get sour. We should use the scale with high accuracy. In this lesson, I shared the production process techniques of mooncakes, and also you can purchase the materials of mooncakes. You can also purchase materials of making mooncakes from online, so that you can make the mooncakes yourself at home. And it is not required to use the oven of such large scales, because this oven is only for teaching. You can just make a home size oven. However, there is one requirement for household oven, that you must have upper heat source and bottom heat source. It is only when it has 2 heat sources that you can preserve the moistures in the mooncakes. And if you are interested in mooncake production or making, or if you like eating mooncakes, you can try it yourself at home. And any more questions?
Hello everyone, so here is the course of today, and next we'll move to the group photo section. So please turn on your camera and we will do a screenshot. Dear participant, please turn on your camera and we will do a screenshot. Hello, we'll give some time to you to open the camera. Okay, everyone, please turn on your camera. Okay, I would like to see more face on the screen. Okay, and you're all, please turn on your camera. Yeah, we'd like to see the more face in the screen. Yeah, please show me your cute face. Please turn on your camera. We'll give 1 minute to the participant to turn on your camera. Yes, please turn on your camera. Okay, please turn on your camera. Dear all. Okay. Okay, now and I will count it down. 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more time. One more time, dear all. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, please wait a second. I will share my screen and we would have a screenshot with our topic today. Wait a second. Just shipping. Okay. Okay. Let's do the screenshot again. 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more time. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you so much for your attend today's course and hope you can learn knowledge about the mooncake. Yes. And at the end of this month is the Mid-Autumn Festival in China. So wish you all happy. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, see you next time. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow we also have the course about the tea courses. Yes. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.